All right, so let's talk about the ESL StarCraft 2 Masters 2023 Summer Europe first, and then to Americas and then Asia. So we've had a Swiss format, and I do not care to get involved in the whole, it's not really Swiss, it's fake Swiss, I really don't care. I really don't care. Point is, it's Swiss, and it's now complete. We know who has made it into the playoffs for the regionals. So if you were deterred from watching the last 2 weeks of broadcast because you were confused, fear no longer confusion. We now just have a simple single elim playoff bracket, round of 16 for Europe. So we can go ahead and talk about it here. We talk about how Wayne almost beat Cyril. We talked about it. Wayne almost beat Cyril. Apparently they're pretty good games, but I'm not really going to go into each one's individual performance unless we go into it, I guess. Cyril versus Gung Fu Panda is probably going to be one-sided. I think Gung Fu Panda is such a cool guy because he just basically disappears and then comes back for regionals and does really well. I'm not even joking. I think that's really cool of him. But he should be pretty screwed against Cyril. These are all best of fives, by the way. Harsum versus Lambo is a very fun match, but I actually think... Well, let me check their performance recently. You're welcome. They really did Cyril versus Wayne justice. I feel like Lambo's PVZ is better than Hearthstone's, or ZVP, you know what I mean. But I was going to say, I haven't really looked at it recently. Hearthstone most recently won against Lambo. But Lambo is usually favored. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Yeah, I think Lambo is going to be favored there, but it's, you know, it's not going to be one-sided. Clem versus Wayne is probably not going to be as one-sided as people might expect. I mean, my gut reaction is that Wayne's going to get bopped. Wayne, a.k.a. Radata, a.k.a. Vanya. But Wayne actually has a pretty aggressive, kind of weirder style of ZVT that has caught Clem off guard previously. And he's playing pretty well, as he did make it through groups in 6th place, which isn't maybe the most impressive. He still kind of got beat out by the guys you might expect. His performances were pretty good. Defeating Showtime and Spirit's actually really impressive. Who's in a Hearthstone? Not unexpected, but yeah, Showtime and Spirit, those were unexpected. So, you know, him beating Spirit is a pretty good sign. Spirit's really been at a high point, but I do feel like in the last 2 weeks, he's kind of almost reverted back to the expectations of 5 or 6 months ago. So I'm hoping he's not slipping. Overall, though, I think Clem wins. I mean, I just think it's going to be like a 3-1 with 2 pretty close games. If Max Pax gets through, will he attend a live tournament? He's been thinking about attending live tournaments more so than ever, but I don't know. He'll get far in regionals and then not attend anyways. Bly versus a Laser. I think a Laser will win that one. I know we have to give a lot of credit to Bly's weirdness, and ZVZ can be a bit of a guessing game. But I was actually very surprised that Bly even got through. He beat Milky Cow, Hellraiser, and Strange, which... Milky Cow definitely messed up. I was actually watching that, and Milky Cow did not give Bly's aggression the respect that it deserved, I guess. I'm not sure what happened in the other two matches, but... ZVZ might sound like the best for Bly. I think a Laser is just much better. And, Bly can only be so wacky. A Laser is also very malleable. He can change in his own style on a whim, so he's pretty capable of responding to people's weirdness. Skilless versus DNS. I think Skilless wins. 3-1. Max Pax Showtime. Max Pax wins 3-2. I think that'll be very close. Showtime didn't have perhaps the best performance he could have. Because he lost to Wayne, but he has really good PvP. And Spirit Hero Marine should be a really good TVT if Spirit is playing up to his potential. Hero Marine has gotten bopped a little bit recently by Clem, so there's some replays to study for Spirit. I think that'd be really, really close. I would say I'm probably casting it, but I think it's going to happen tomorrow. Oh, no. It's happening on Thursday. I am probably going to cast that one. And then Christiana Rayner. Yeah, Rayner's going to win. Probably 3-0 if I had to guess. Rayner did 3-0 his group. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the closest match is going to be this TVT. And then next closest, Max Pack Showtime. And then the closest after that, Hearthstone Lambo. It'll be Wardy and I for Thursday and Friday. I don't know how many games we're casting. But I'm guessing a lot because they're all best of 5. So it could go really short, it could go really long. We just don't know. In Americas, I think we had some kind of surprising results, actually. This is only one group, so the playoffs is only 8 people. But in the group, Kelzer ended up getting the best score by not losing a single map, beating the likes of Nina, Scarlet, and Estrella. Now, Nina did not play particularly well this season, unfortunately for her, but obviously you still give a lot of credit to defeating Scarlet and Estrella 2-0, 2 different matchups. So Kelzer is living up to his potential, because he really does play very well on ladder, for instance, but then seemingly just kind of doesn't play as well as he could. I think being in the Latin American region also kind of threw him off, because the Latin American Zergs can be very, very weird. And he maybe kind of is the type of player that kind of gets brought down a little bit by people who don't play super standard, shall we say. But yeah, Kelzer top in the group is really cool, but then Trigger being second only because he lost a map, that's a really amazing performance for Trigger. He beat Masa, which should be the case. He beat Cham, which I think should also be the case, and then he beat Special, which is really good. Special gets third, which isn't too surprising. He lost to Trigger. Future gets fourth, which is not so much surprising as it is that he's ahead of Scarlet, is the more surprising part. And way farther ahead than Estrella. So Scarlet and Estrella and Special were kind of supposed to be the top 3, with Kelzer probably 4 or maybe 5, depending on how Trigger played, something like that. That would have been my expectation. But Scarlet's 5th, Estrella's 7th. Masa ties the score with Estrella 2 to also be 7th, but 8th, whatever. So Estrella's not playing particularly well. There have been talks about his, lack of dedication. It's kind of hard to play StarCraft all the time. Especially after you put so much work into it for Katowice. So he's been taking it a little more chill, which I think works out really well for the likes of Masa, if he's taking it chill, because he's really not full-time anymore. He does still pretty well. He knows how to win. But I don't think Estrella is that similar type of player. I think he has to really be enjoying the game to be really good at it. And then also not to skip out in Cham, performing well. I'm actually kind of surprised he lost to Masa, but again, Masa just doesn't really need a whole lot of time to get good, man. I do think it's kind of sad though that Masa is just so good at winning. So this isn't the most surprising thing. But I am sad that Disc gets knocked out kind of because of it. Because Disc puts in a lot of work. Panamex just a fun guy. So I don't know too much about Eggs, to be honest, even though I've cast him a couple of times at this point. Vindicta, certainly not getting the performance he wanted. Nina, definitely worse than anticipated. And then the other guys, maybe not the biggest surprise, but I think a lot of people were hoping that Uko would be a little bit better. So anyways, that's the results. The people who got through, not that surprising, but the order of people who got through was surprising. Kelzer versus Masa right off the bat. I actually think Kelzer needs to be very careful. Masa is going to be super tricky in TVT. And Kelzer has, I think, one of his biggest weaknesses is his TVT. But it's kind of not fair because I see him versus special all the time. So it's like, is he just weak versus special? I think Massa really needs to shape up. But if he shapes up and does his typical aggressive winning tactics, he could actually win right there. It would be so fun to have Massa top 4 of Americas in 2023. I think it could happen. Scarlet versus Future, I also think Scarlet has to be careful. Future's playing pretty well, clearly, by his placement. I guess he lost a disc, so maybe his TVP isn't... Well, he went against Estrella, though, so... I don't know. The Future is not the bombing out of groups Future that he was in a couple of seasons. Scarlet lost to Kelazur, so there's some studying that could be done from Future, I suppose, but it's such a mechanical matchup. I just really don't know where to place Scarlet, to be honest. I haven't gotten to personally see any of her games. That could be quite difficult. And Future has defeated Scarlet in the past. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Special Cham, typical Latin American matchup. As long as Special doesn't let Cham's weirdness take advantage of him, Special should win. And then Estrella Trigger. Usually, that would be the fight of the North America region. As Trigger looks to take Neeb's place, both as top 3 North America, but also the top Protoss. He would have to defeat Estrella. And Estrella's at his weakest point right now. So Trigger has a really good shot at winning that best of 5. Looking at the bracket right now, I do think Special Kelazur might just be our finals. Yeah. We'll see. And then Asia has been going on as well, if you haven't woken up early enough to watch it. Coffee actually has the winningest record. Oliveira lost a game to Firefly. Yeah, it's not that surprising. And then Haas, Cyan, Jaishi, Firefly, XY, Nice. Some of the fan favorites didn't make it through, as such as Mia Micah. Very close, too. It's heartbreaking. And then the Oceanic region is getting screwed. Oliveira is indeed time. Oliveira XY, Oliveira wins. Jaishi, Cyan? I was gonna give it to Cyan. They're very closely matched. Haas, Firefly? Ah, it's all so many PvPs, God. I'm gonna give it to Haas, I guess. And Nice Coffee, I think... Huh, that's actually... It is 1 to versus 8. Alright, so... Placement-wise, Coffee should win, but... I don't know. I think Nice will give him a run for his money, but I guess I'll put my money on Coffee. I guess. But it wouldn't surprise me if we had like an all-Chinese finals. It's probably even the most likely, I guess. Well, maybe not most likely. But yeah. Those are my guesses. Those are my guesses. I think America has ended up being the most interesting as far as placements go. Beyond Korea, Fear Dragon. But that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. It does begin tomorrow, early in the morning. I don't know who's going to be casting tomorrow, but Wardy and I will be casting Thursday and Friday. And then there's also Saturday and Sunday, who, again, I don't know who's casting, but there you go. That's all the information that I have. So thanks for watching. Make sure to tune in, twitch.tv/ESL_SC2. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Wardy and Fear Dragon are on tomorrow. Okay, bye.